You're one of the best informed guys I hear on the radio, so I thought I'd ask you this question.
Okay.
The impact of the money on the elections is going to be disastrous.
It already is.
It seems like most of that money gets spent on media.
Yes.
TV and radio.
Yeah, most of it, about 95% of it on TV, yes.
Could they ban paid political advertising?
They could have before the mid-1980s. The Buckley versus Vallejo decision by the Supreme Court, and then the First National Bank of Boston versus Bellotti decisions pretty much eliminated the possibility of that, and Citizens United closed the door altogether. So right now, the only way you could ban paid political advertising on television would be to amend the Constitution, go to movetoamend.org, start a local chapter, sign their petition, get active, get a bunch of friends together, get one of these petitions going in your community to amend the Constitution to explicitly say two very simple things. Corporations do not have rights under the Bill of Rights in the Constitution. That's reserved to human beings, number one. And number two, that speech is speech and money is money. They are not the same thing. Got it?
Yeah, I get that, but I'm not sure I understand specifically how those opinions ban that. The FCC bans things from television all the time. And then you have a wardrobe.
The Supreme Court has ruled that the most protected form of free speech is political free speech. Of all the various kinds of free speech, there are some types of free speech that are not at all protected. You can't, yell fire in a crowded theater. You can't talk about bombs at the TSA line. There are some things that are not direct speech but are considered indirect speech, like art, for example, or photography. There are some varieties of it that are limited in the way that they can be used. For example, pornography, or outright banned, like child pornography. So there are all these limits on speech, but the most unlimited form of speech, according to the Supreme Court, and virtually all of these rules I just described have been defined ultimately by the Supreme Court, the monarchs in our constitutional monarchy. The most protected form of free speech is political free speech. And when there was an attempt to limit that with the McCain-Feingold law, which said that within 90 days of an election or a primary election, and in this case it was the Democratic presidential primary, you may not run advertisements that are explicitly political in nature unless you identify them as such or you are representing a political party and you confess to that, right? It's got to say at the very end, I'm John McCain and I paid for this ad or I agree with this ad. And then this group called Citizens United had this hour-long movie. It was a hit job on Hillary Clinton. They wanted to play it in theaters all over the country. Well, actually, they did play it in theaters all over the country because they wanted Obama to be the candidate because they thought that a black guy whose middle name was Mohammed, or Hussein rather, that there was absolutely no way he could ever get elected president and John McCain would win. And so they wanted to take down Hillary Clinton, who they saw as the threat. They wanted to buy television ads on television stations around the country within that 90-day window to promote people going to see the movie. And the television ads were determined by lower courts, lower than the Supreme Court. Those ads were determined to be in and of themselves sufficiently derogatory of Hillary Clinton that they constituted political speech. They constituted an attack on Hillary Clinton, even though theoretically they were just ads promoting a movie. This got to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said basically, okay, fine, they are political ads, and McCain-Feingold does ban political ads within 90 days of an election, so we're striking down that part of McCain-Feingold. So the Supreme Court struck down a law passed by the majority, a bipartisan majority in Congress, signed into law by the President of the United States, and set up a whole brand new set of rules because, like I said, we now live in a constitutional monarchy. So that's why, in order to get around the Supreme Court, the only way you can get around the Supreme Court, short of impeachment, which ain't going to happen, is to amend the Constitution of the United States. So they can no longer say, we're finding this in the First Amendment. That's where they said they found Citizens United. So if you pass an explicit amendment that says money is not speech and corporations are not people, then Congress can pass an even stronger version of McCain-Feingold, and the Supreme Court will no longer have a rationale to strike it down because they can no longer say, but wait a minute, Citizens United is a person, and buying ads using money was a form of speech. That's how it works, Rainer. Thanks for the call.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
The history of Citizens United in what was that, 90 seconds? I don't know, whatever it was. We'll be right back.